All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Jorge's Isolation Podcast. I hope everybody is doing terrific. Today, the world is it's a crazy place right now. And amidst the craziness, I'm glad that we have people, that share the same kind of goals and same struggles, today. With that being said, I have a family friend. Like, I've actually known this young lady since she was a baby, her and her sister and her brother and sister, like all four of them. I've known them
Mhm.
since they were babies. My grandmother took care of them, and lo and behold, she decided to take the same track and career of being an actor as well. This is my dearest family friend, Dannie McCAllum, and it's Danny Girl.
Yeah, Danny girl, that's what everyone calls me. People used
Danny
to
Girl.
think that was my actual middle name until I
Girl.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
that's
not.
so funny because we've called you that since you were a baby.
Yeah,
Danny Girl.
no, yeah, but because my uncle is named Danny,
Yeah,
and so whenever we were at family gatherings, it was like, "Danny," and we both come running, and so they were like, "Okay, wait a second,
yeah, I
we'll
get
just
it.
label you." Yeah.
So we, I've known you since you were little, but the age gap is like, how old are you right now?
26.
So I am 12 years older. So I was already shaving
Yeah.
when you were born. And so like there's that age gap there, and I didn't keep in contact with you for a little bit. And then I realized, like, well, you're pursuing the same sort of thing. And you ended up in New York, you're doing Fashion Week. And it was like, hey, like, you grew up, and my wife. Actually, you knew Rosa from, I don't even remember when you met Rosa, but she said she was walking in the city or in
In
Jersey
Central
City,
Park.
Central Park, and she
Oh my
heard her
god.
name, and she's like, "Oh, it's Danny Girl." And I was like, "I didn't even realize y'all knew each other, at that
Mhm.
point, and that was a few years ago." And you're doing Fashion Week, obviously. If you're watching right now, you can see, Danny Girl is Danny Girl, and there's Fashion Week over here, and then there's non-Fashion Week over here on my screen. I'm wearing the same Alabama t-shirt with bleach stain that I ruined a whole bunch of clothes. But anyway, so how did you get into modeling?
Oh, e this lady actually just found me.
At the
She
mall?
Yeah, okay, so I used to do oh my gosh, it's so weird. I used to be a stage manager for, like, pageants that were held at the Edinburgh North, like, the PAC Center, like, the PAC, the Performing Arts
Yeah,
Center,
yeah, yeah.
and so the lady who was putting those on,
Hmm.
she was like, "Oh, yeah, I'll help you out with some stuff," and I was like, "Okay," and she introduced me to this photographer who happened to be the photographer for that store Melrose. Do you know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, 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 yeah,
Okay, so it's only in, like, 4 states in the United States. They're all, like, southern
yeah,
states or far southern states,
yeah.
and, um, she was like, "Yeah, if you could model the clothes for me," and I was like, "Sure." So if you ever go to their website, maybe it's probably gone by now, but I'm all over. I even have pictures of myself standing next to, like, the posters that are in the store, and I'm like, "That's me." It
Really?
was so lame. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you ever work at Abercrombie?
I worked at Hollister.
Okay, I worked at both Abercrombie and Abercrombie Kids.
Were you the guy at the front at Christmas?
No, I was the guy at the back, and they wouldn't let me out into the front. And
Oh.
I remember when I worked at Abercrombie, this is a fun fact. This is a fun story here, because you were probably my friends were the guys in the front, the
Um,
ripped guys. I wasn't chubby at that point, but I guess whatever.
you were in
But
high school.
yeah, I
You
was. And I'm trying to, why was I in the back? I was the Grinch. They didn't let me out. They had me hooked into like the wall with a chain.
Yeah,
But
you were either like a backstock or a
I
model.
was, yeah, backstock and model. They couldn't even give us a cool name. It's
No.
like I worked at Equinox, and our shirt said Greet or Train or Spa. At least that was nicer than just backstock. I mean, let's think about it. Like, you work backstock, which is just, it sounds gross and like hideous. And then you have model, and then like the models would come in and complain like, "Oh my god, it's so hard up there." And in the backstock, we're there folding and refolding and like
Oh, yeah.
putting the little sensors on everything. But I remember this was back in 2003 or 4. I was working there at Abercrombie, the big Abercrombie, and
Mhm.
I heard the manager was on the conference call with like on whatever you call speaker
Yeah.
with the regional manager and other area managers, right? So I'm just there doing what I'm doing, folding clothes, taking it out of the stupid like packs and boxes and just breaking it down and trying to restock, backstock and all that stuff. And I'm listening, me and this other dude, I don't even remember who the other guy was. And they're having this conference call. This is the regional manager. And one line in particular was like, I think they were talking to our store and they're saying like, guys, could it kill you to have at least some hot people out in the front? Like, it's disgusting what I'm seeing up there. It's disgusting. Like, seriously, you can do much better than that. And me and the dude looked at each other, and then the manager, she just like rolled her eyes. So fast forward, I was living with my buddy Josh, who also worked there at the time. And we got these letters saying there was a class action lawsuit, right?
Yes.
There was a class action lawsuit, and it was in California. There was something happening in California where a group got together and they were going to sue, said, fill this out and whatever. Josh and I, being the dumb drunkards that we were, threw them away. Fast forward 3 or 4 months later, another buddy of ours, Rudy, at the gym, he came up to us. He's like, hey, because he worked with us, but he's also a model. And he's also, a model. And he was like, hey guys, did you get your money? And we're like, what money? He's like, I got $3,000 from that class action lawsuit. And we're like, no way. And he's like, yeah, I got $3,000. Everybody's getting $3,000. And Josh and I looked at each other like we were morons. We didn't even fill those stupid things out.
Yeah. There was one going around when I was working,
There's
probably a few
always
years
one.
after I was working there, but they were only giving out $12, and I thought
$12?
it was like $12.97. You could get up to 12, and I was like, why would I want 12? That, like, why would you tell me how much this is? I'm not going to do this. So I didn't end up doing it.
Yeah, no, that wasn't worth it. $3,000 was worth it.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Those stores are a joke.
That's my rent in LA. That's a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah, in LA or New York. Oh my God. So you did that for a little bit. Were you into theater or anything in high school? Because I know your sister was. You know how I know? I did after school program at Harwell.
Dude, I went to Harwell.
Yeah, I know. You and your sister did. And I was working after school program there, and I saw your sister rehearsing some play when she was like in 7th grade. And then I saw your mom go there like to pick her up. Was she a coach? She was always at North, your mom, Edinburgh North.
My mom's always been at North. My aunt is at Harwell. She's been at Harwell for a while.
Yeah. And that's now Vela, right?
Yeah, so Harwell was at where Barrientos Middle School is now, moved to where Vela is now. And now Harwell is out on 2812, like past Love's truck stop, like on the way out.
Way out there, like by Falfurrias, basically.
Yeah, basically. People listening are not going to know what we're talking about.
So okay, so if you're listening or just watching, to help you understand what we're talking about, like, so I always talk about the Rio Grande Valley. And when we say the valley, like you, especially when you're in LA, when you say the valley, they think California, whatever, the valley over there.
Over the hill.
Yeah. And so the valley in Texas is the Rio Grande Valley, which is the southernmost 4 counties on the southern tip of Texas. It's Hidalgo, Willacy, Starr, and Cameron County. And if you tell anybody, and if you're listening and you're not from Texas, and we say South Texas, don't insult us by saying San Antonio, because we're 4 hours south of San Antonio. Yeah, we're about 200 miles away from Austin, and we're on the border, the southern tip of Texas. And so when we say like Falfurrias, like there's this city, and it's just basically a truck stop city. I mean, and it's expanded, and it's it's a smaller city, but it's the big like first stop past the checkpoint, because there's like a checkpoint where they check for drugs and you're hauling bodies or anything.
People are also confused about that, because in California, the checkpoint, you pull up and they say, do you have any plants in the car with you? And I'm like, Are you
What?
asking for drugs? And they're like, no, just like plants in general, like seeds or any kind of plants. We don't want you bringing any like bugs or things into California. And I'm like, well, I
Really?
also don't have drugs, but I don't have any plants either.
They're worried about plants in California?
100%. And they give you a little paper that has a stamp on the date that you went into California, onto the border.
Really? What if you're
Strangest checkpoint I've ever been through.
what if you were, like, leaving home, right?
Mhm.
And, your family's saying goodbye, and your family, they give you a ficus that's just, like, something to remember them by, and you get to California, and they ask, "Do you have any plants?" And you're like you have the ficus on your passenger seat, like, with a seatbelt, and you're like,
They can
"Just
see it though.
my
If that
ficus." They don't care
Yeah,
if they can see it.
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming if I had like an aloe vera or something and they could see it, they'd be like,
Mm,
"What kind of plant is that?" And then I'd have to give them some scientific name, or I'd be like, "It's an savila. It's an aloe vera. It's for wounds." Yeah,
and
I don't
burns,
know.
yeah, burns, yeah.
Yeah,
That's so funny. California's
it
so weird.
it was the strangest checkpoint because I was going expecting them to go like, "Are you a U.S. citizen, ma'am?" And me
Yeah,
be like, "Yes, absolutely. I am the most U.S. citizen you've ever met."
yeah.
And then they were just like, "You have plants?" And I thought they were going like, "Plants,
Oh,
plants."
like, yeah, it's the new, like, slang for
I thought
like,
it was a
for
joke. I thought it was
marijuana.
like a trick, and I was like, No, I don't have anything."
Really?
Mhm.
California's so weird. Why would you go to California?
I don't know.
You chose California. We'll get into that in a little while, but, like, anyway, going back to, like, Falfurrias, that's, like,
Yeah,
it's the big stop, and, Edinburgh School District is, like, the county we're in, Hidalgo County. McAllen is the big city, and McAllen is basically swallowing up everything around it. Like, it swallowed
yeah,
up Edinburgh, it swallowed up a few places, and, your school district goes out for, like, a long, like, maybe 40, 50, 100 miles out, right? To, like,
yeah.
north
Because
and
even Brewster, which is past
yeah,
2812 and everything, they're out in the boonies.
yeah.
They're part of our school district.
Yeah, and that's, like, all ranch land, that's brush country, that's where you go hunting. That's, like,
That's
that's
where you're
where they have the
graduating with, like, 10 kids in your class.
yeah, yeah, you end up going to Edinburgh North, which is, like which makes us, like, I guess, the valley the way I explain it, and maybe you can agree or disagree, I say it's not Texas and it's not Mexico. It's like its own world. And
Absolutely.
I think when you start getting to those areas where it's like still it's very ranch, rancho
Yeah.
and like cowboy. There's like legit cowboys in that area.
Mhm.
That's where it starts becoming more like once you pass Falfurrias, it's Texas. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You're out of that, and so it's a weird. It's an interesting because it's a big high school too. I don't know why they don't build one just a little bit further out.
They should because there's so many kids who are out
Yeah.
there who have to drive in, going on other if going out,
Yep.
you're on this curve and there's houses over here and houses over here, and then you're on this curve and you pass the fruit stand and
Yeah.
the place where they sell mangoes and everything on the way
Yeah.
out, and there's so many houses out there those kids have to drive in.
And also to give people a frame of reference, I think if you're getting picked up by the buses, it's like about 5:30 in the morning, 6 in the morning, you get picked up
Oh, yeah.
to
It's,
go
like,
to
dark.
school. Way out. Yeah. It's so
You have to
it's
walk
rough.
to the front of your driveway, which is probably the length of a football field,
Yeah, yeah,
so
it's way out there. So it's crazy. So you were doing theater in middle school and high school. Was that like something you wanted to pursue, or did you have anything else you
Oh,
wanted? Or were you thinking about like when you graduated high school, like when you went to college, obviously, and you
I
were
did.
thinking about what were you, or did you want to be an actor? I didn't.
No, I think since I was very, like, very, very young, I wanted to be an actor. There was a while when my parents said I wanted to be a fighter, which was a firefighter. I just couldn't speak correctly.
A fighter,
And then
fighter.
yeah, a fighter. I wanted to fight fights. Um, and then I wanted to be a paleontologist in
Yeah,
2nd grade. That was a specific I remember the moment.
yeah.
Miss Ramos, my teacher, gave us all chocolate chip cookies and a toothpick. And we
Yeah.
had to get the Chips Ahoy chocolate chips out without breaking them and trying to be as like delicate as possible. She's like, "This is what paleontologists do. They dig out dinosaur bones and stuff." And I was like, "This is great. I want to do it." And then somebody was like, "They get skin cancer a lot." And I was like,
From being out in the sun. Is that what
"Yeah,
you're saying?
yeah, yeah." And I was just like, as a 2nd grader, I was like, I don't want that. No, thank you."
How do you
Yeah.
crush a kid's dream like that?
It was another kid in my class though. Like
There's
their
always
mom,
that
I guess,
one
just told
kid.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is always that one kid. No, but I don't know if you remember. Okay, so when when I was very young, there was
Mm-hmm.
something that used to come through the valley called the Children's Missoula Theater.
Mm-mm.
Do you know what no?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it was a traveling theater. I
Mm-hmm.
swear I'm not making this up. We have pictures. And it would come to the valley for like 2 weeks. So the whole valley could audition. Anybody could audition, adults and kids alike, for like 3 days, and they would send out the cast list. You could rehearse for a week, and then
Mm-hmm.
you would put on the show for the last couple days, and then they would just vanish into thin
There we
air.
go. It's like
Every
a
s every
traveling
summer.
circus without the circus. You're the circus.
Yeah, yeah, and they would do it at the old Edinburgh Auditorium, the really old one.
Yeah, by Pan Am
Yes, with the
behind City
seat.
Hall.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Every summer they would come and do shows, and my one summer, my mom was I think I was probably, like, 5, and she was like, "I'm gonna take you to this thing." We were, like, a bunch of kids, we were like, "Whatever, we have nothing else to do." And we auditioned for Children's Missoula Theater. We all got, like I was, like, a rat, I think, in The Pied Piper,
Okay.
was my first big role,
Yeah,
and, yeah, I remember going on stage and people clapping and me going like, "Oh, I like this." Like, it's like playing pretend the whole time.
yeah.
Like, "This is
That's
great."
exactly what we do. I have my friend Bernardo, who is he was on the podcast a few episodes ago, quite a few episodes ago. That's what he would always say on his own podcast because he had one called Off and On, and it was a Broadway podcast, and
Oh, nice.
he'd always say like, "Yeah, we like to, our job is to play pretend. That's all we do is play pretend," and it's really it's true in a way, but yes.
Mhm. A lot of people I feel like people who grew up in a theater setting will more use that frame of reference and use that frame of mind of like, "Hey, let's get in the sandbox. Let's just like let's just
Yeah,
play in the let's play in the sandbox today."
yeah,
As opposed to film people who go like, "What?" Like, I didn't start getting around film people till I was 17 when I moved
yeah.
to New York,
Hmm.
before college, but those people were just like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, you're just playing pretend,
Yeah.
like we're just chilling."
It's very different, I think, between stage and film because I know that at Pan Am right now or at UTRGV, there's like this great divide between the film department and stage and
Mhm.
um I guess like at some point, like, and I'm not knocking anybody. I know that this is just, and it's not just this one school, also. It's a lot of places where they think that film is one certain art form. It's more serious than
Yes.
stage. I even heard one film guy when I was there say that musical theater is the lowest form of art. And I was
Welcome.
thinking about that. I was like, well, tell us how you really feel,
That's an opinion. That's an
that's
opinion.
that's a strong one. And it was all about like artsy film. And I think like, there's a certain um I guess it's like kind of ego behind like true filmmakers, where if you haven't watched the classics or you haven't watched the Japanese classics is
Mhm.
Kurosawa, or like the Seven Samurai, or like any of
Yes.
those like pure classics, then you're not really a filmmaker or artist. And I remember going to even in theater school or in grad school where I didn't read a lot of Hamlet. I didn't read a lot of like Chekhov. Like I fell in love with Arthur Miller's work and like those kinds of plays. But when they talk about film, they're talking about all these like artsy films and like these emotional scenes and these actors and directors and the way they use the color palettes. And for me, I was thinking to myself, like, man, like I love horror films and I
Yeah.
like the Karate Kid, and I wanted to be in Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings, and like the Lord of the Rings, I guess, was as artsy as it got, but
Mhm.
um there's kind of this pompous behavior with some I think with the film community, and they
Oh,
look down
100%.
on theater a lot. But even though the best actors do come from theater, but you have to do serious theater to get that
Yes.
respect. Like you have to
Do
really
Shakespeare in the Park before you
Shakespeare in the
yeah.
Park, and you got to do a lot of Chekhov, and this Shakespeare and Chekhov really are the
Yeah.
the things you got to do if you want to be a true
I've definitely been
artist.
film shamed before, where it was like,
I get
"Oh,
film shamed all the time.
you don't know films. Like, who's your favorite director from the '80s?" And I'm like, I was 10. I was or I wasn't even alive then or whatever,
Yeah.
like crazy things like that where I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching a clip yesterday, like actually yesterday, and it was Leo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie, and they were talking about a film. I guess they're asking Brad Pitt, like, "Hey, what's a film that you haven't seen but you should have seen?" And I think he said, "Shoot, it wasn't The Sound of Music." It was something. And Leo DiCaprio looked at them and was like, "You haven't seen it?" And Margot Robbie was like, "I haven't seen it either." And Margot Robbie would say that when they were doing Wolf of Wall Street, Leo would always film shame her all the time. He's like, "You haven't seen that and you're in this industry?" And she's like, "I've only been in this industry for a little bit."
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get that too. And I yeah, no, that's that kind of
I
attitude.
grew up, I mean, we just didn't have film down here, like, that's just,
No.
you're in your school plays, you're in your elementary, I played
Yeah.
Mrs. Claus my 5th grade year, and I'm still very proud of that.
And I really didn't do a lot of plays
You
ever.
didn't?
I wasn't in the theater at all when I was in school. I
I
took
was
a
in everything you could put anything that had us, I was there.
I did a church drama once or twice where they had like, I was in one of those crazy evangelical churches that was
Okay.
it's very theatrical to begin with. So it's
Yeah.
apropos that they would have a drama club, and we would do like these like the youth group, the youth group,
I know what you're talking about,
we do like plays,
like
about
sketches,
about
like what you shouldn't be doing.
about Jesus, and
Yeah.
it's really funny and corny all the time. And I just remember I was trying to be so cool in this one little sketch thing, and I don't even remember what it was, but it didn't stick with me. Like that's as dramatic or play that I would get in. Or like there was this singer, his name was Carmen,
Mhm.
and he was like the big singer in the 80s and 90s, and he
Okay.
had this book or this song where it was like almost like the devil went down to Georgia sort of deal, but it was like the
Okay.
devil and Jesus fighting.
Oh,
And the whole sketch was like, you know, a boxing match between, the devil and Jesus. And it was just super, super corny. Corny, corny,
yeah.
corny. Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah, that's just like
Well, see,
theatrical.
'cause we didn't know you. I didn't know you as a theater I remember my mom saying, like, "Oh, Georgie lives in New York," because I
Yeah.
call you Georgie,
Yeah. Everyone does.
and
Yeah.
I was like, "What?
Yeah.
What's he in New York? He plays football." Like, he
Exactly.
plays
I
football,
never
that's what he
e
does.
exactly, and that's a funny that's why I asked, like, if you did any kind of acting or theater while in high school, because you played sports too.
Oh,
Your
I've played
parents were
soccer since I was
coaches.
4. I was a
Yeah,
gymnast for a bit, a dancer, I
yeah,
was on the drill team. I was one of those kids who was like, wake up at hopefully 7:45 to get to school on time, prayers
yeah,
probably always tardy, and then
yeah,
as soon as school ended, I was in an extracurricular at school, and then I would go do my soccer, which was not at school,
mhm,
and then I would go do something because my parents were coaching, and then we'd finally get home with Whataburger at,
yeah,
9 o'clock at night, and they were like, "Do your homework, or you're gonna have to wake up early and do it."
yeah. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I
yeah,
was just always going. They just kept us going.
yeah. I didn't get into acting till I was 25. Yeah,
That's that's crazy to me because 'cause
yeah.
you're so good. Like, I see your resume and I'm like, "Dude, this guy
No,
should have been doing this a long time ago."
no, no. You know what? To be honest, thank you. First of all, I'm humbled by that. I'm all right, but uh, I don't think that I would have the resume that I have had I had done it since I was younger, because I think a lot of my life experiences fueled um, my performances later on. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that makes
And
sense.
that's
Yep.
just my journey personally. Like
Mhm.
everybody's journey is totally different. And that's the one thing. And I'm sure people have asked you, like, how do I get into this? Or like, people ask me all the freaking time, like, hey, how do I get into this? Like, hey, how do I get an agent? How do I? It was like, man, if I knew, or if we knew, everyone would have agents and everyone would be working.
Absolutely.
It would be just like going to, school to be a doctor. You'd go to med school, there's a single track, you have to pass the MCATs, and then you have to, find your specialty, you finish your med school, and then boom, you apply and you get jobs, you get your residency, and
Mhm.
then boom. It's not like that with acting. Like people fall into it like in totally different ways. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
Harrison Ford was like a carpenter.
Oh, yes.
A lot of people
Yeah.
like, I got into it because I needed an easy A, to pick up my GPA when I was in college and undergrad, because I had, dicked around and um I didn't study a lot, or I dropped out of college when I was like 19, and I didn't do the proper paperwork, so I got a bunch of drop fails, and so
You didn't do the proper paperwork to drop out of college?
yeah, no, because apparently you're supposed to fill out some paperwork to get like drop
Yeah.
passes or whatever. I didn't do that. I didn't care at that point. So yeah, but to answer your question, like I think that my journey, or the resume I do have, is because of the life experience I had between the ages of like 19 and 25.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and it's different. I mean, you seem to be doing well, I mean,
Cute.
you're on the verge constantly of you've had bigger auditions than I've ever had. Let's just say that.
No.
Much bigger. I've never gotten a breakdown that says, so and so and lead. I've never had that. It's always supporting or recurring.
I've had so I don't want it to sound bad, but I never get those, and I'm like, I would love that. Like, give me anything. I'll try it.
I think you will. And don't, I mean, shoot, I mean, you're very fortunate, you're very blessed to be in that position, and
Absolutely.
going back to like getting to that point. Okay, so you've graduated high school, you're in college, and you follow modeling more, right? Because you're doing
No,
modeling
actually.
more, or what was going on?
No. So I did the Melrose thing for a little bit. Um, and at the end of so there's this thing called TETA. Did you go to that in high school? Oh, no, you
No.
didn't because you weren't doing it.
No.
Okay, so TETA is just this conference where a bunch of college scouts come and look at you. You have
Hmm.
3 minutes. You can do 2 songs, 2 monologues, or a song and a monologue.
Hmm.
You're on a stage, you have a pianist with you. You do your thing, and then you just get off stage. And they have a bunch of workshops you can go to, but you wait for these lists to come out
Yeah,
with your name on it. And then it tells you every college scout who wants to see you, wants to talk to you, wants to offer you a scholarship, things like that.
that's awesome.
So I got a few. I did a song from Guys and Dolls, and then there's a show called Dead Man's Cell Phone, and I did a
Hmm.
monologue from that
Yeah.
because I directed that my senior year in high school.
Hmm.
And I got a bunch of schools in Texas. I got a few in New York. But I just, at that point, I was like, I'm a kid. Like, I can't
Yeah.
go to New York. Like,
Yeah.
I've never been away from my house. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I got like full ride to Incarnate Word. I got a full ride to some school that is now doesn't even do theater anymore. Like they shut down.
Yeah.
But I ended up not taking any of those scholarships because a week later we were doing one act play practice,
Hmm.
and I got a message. I got a call from a New York number. Obviously, you're a child and you shouldn't answer numbers you don't know. So
Yeah.
I don't answer it. Well, then I get a voicemail from it, and I'm like, well, okay. And so I take a break from rehearsal, a table read, and I go and listen to it. And it's like, hi, I'm looking for Dannie McCAllum. One of our sister schools saw you at TTA, your audition, and we were just wondering if you would like to audition for the New York Conservatory for Dramatic Arts here in New York. I'm just, wanting to let you know that we're interested in you, and give us a call back for information. And I just thought, like, this could be a scam, but I did go to TETA and
Hmm.
they do know my name, so I guess
Hmm.
I'll give it a shot. Asked my mom, she said sure. So she drove me to Houston at like 4 in the morning a week later to
Hmm.
audition at this hotel. The audition
Yeah.
took 5 minutes,
Yeah.
and then she was like, okay, we have to go back now. So we drove all the way back. But in that audition, I did the monologue for Dead Man's Cell Phone.
Hmm.
The guy was sitting there, he watched me do it, and then after I finished it, he said, "Do you mind if I record you so I can show it to my colleagues?"
Hmm.
Sure, whatever. I do it again. I say he hits, stop recording, and I sit down with him. He goes, I just have one question. I was like, okay. And he goes, are you ready to go to New York? And I was like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go. Yeah, whatever. Like if I have to, I'll go. Yeah, sure. Okay, great. And then nothing. I don't hear anything for a while. Don't hear anything for a while. We're doing our final dress rehearsal for one act play.
Hmm.
We're 5 minutes from starting. My phone rings, and I'm like, "Hello, hi, is this Dannie McCallum?" Yeah, and oh, well, this is the dean of New York Conservatory, and I was like,
Hmm.
"Okay," and he's like, "I just want to let you know, we're wanting to offer you our full scholarship," and I was like, "To what?" And he goes, yeah. And I start crying. And I was like, wait, does this mean that I got in? Like, did I
Yeah.
get in? And he goes, well, we wouldn't be offering you money if you didn't get in.
Wow.
And so I had to fix my makeup. We had to delay opening and everything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and then I did that. I actually left to New York before I even went to college. I had taken some classes at Pan Am, but the
Yeah.
day I graduated high school, got on a plane, got a Whataburger,
Yeah.
drove to Houston, got on a plane, and left to New York.
And how long were you there?
I was there for that summer, and then I knew that, like, I needed to come back to Texas for college because I couldn't afford New York as never having a
Yeah.
job, not knowing how to drive, nothing like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I went to Texas State and got my degree from there.
Hmm.
But I was always in New York. I was always
Yeah.
back and forth in New York any chance
Yeah.
I could get.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mhm.
what years were these?
2012 was when I first went to New York,
Okay.
and then I spent the rest of the summer, right? 2012 going back and forth, a little bit at the beginning also because I knew some people up there I could stay with,
Hmm.
and then finished school in 2016 at Texas State with their
Okay.
BFA program.
But you were
in
always
acting.
back and forth. I remember that because I saw you way
Always.
before 2016.
Oh
Because
yeah, I was always
I,
in New York.
yeah, I went to New York when I moved over there. It was 2011. 2011.
Hmm.
I moved over there. And then Rosa came up the following year when we got married. And I think she saw you like in 2014 or something around there. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember. But yeah, that's so crazy.
I would
And
find any reason to be in New York. If it
yeah,
was like a meeting, I would
yeah,
be like, "Oh, I have to go to New York for the weekend." And
yeah,
I would tell my professors, like, "I have to go."
yeah,
And I was just like living there part time at the beginning of college, and then I
yeah,
took a little break, and then I went back again 14 and was
yeah.
like, "This is really what I need to be doing. Like, I need to be putting all my focus to this because I know it's college degree and
Hmm.
our customs and our culture is you get a degree, you get
Yeah,
married, you have kids, you all that stuff."
yeah,
And
yeah. That's what I
but I knew
did.
I couldn't experience that in 2012
Hmm.
and never go back to that. I knew the
Yeah,
moment I set foot out of LaGuardia Airport, I was like,
hmm,
I need to be here. This is
yeah,
what I need to do.
yeah. And did you try auditioning in New York while you were there? Like, were you
No, I
ever
had
sent
no
out,
clue.
or like setting up meetings with agents or managers or anything like that?
Mm-mm. No, because I
Yeah,
was I was 17. When you go to the conservatory,
yeah,
you're not allowed. If it's still the same, you're not allowed to work while you're going to the conservatory because you're doing so much there. So
yeah,
they don't want you to actually be working.
yeah. That makes
And so
sense.
I had no clue about agents or man. I didn't know how. I didn't know who you
Yeah,
talked to or anything. And
yeah.
yeah,
See, that's the thing that bothers me about any school, and it's not just yours; it's every school. It doesn't matter if it's NYU, uh, Juilliard. I mean, Juilliard seems to be all right with it, but like any of these schools, they do not teach you the business side of it. Actually, yeah, no. I had a girl that went to NYU, Shannon Spangler. She was on a few episodes ago,
mhm,
and we talked about it. Like they do not teach you the business, which
no,
is, I think, a very important thing that everyone should learn, whether you've auditioned or have an agent or anything, because at some point you're going to be doing, man, you could be doing a little play in a black box theater for 50 people. And you never know who's going to be watching those plays because people love theater in New York. And sometimes you get the best performances out of those little like off Broadway shows. And you never know if like an agent's going to be watching or a manager's going to watch you, or and then you get that meeting and they start setting things up. Are you going to get a 1 year contract or a 3 year? 3 year seems
oh yeah,
standard, or is that the manager going to charge you, 15 or 20%? Like 20% is outrageous. 15 is pretty high, but 10% is the standard. And you don't know these things. And
no,
I really wish they would have. I mean, we had a guy bring in like for workshops, like industry professionals, like and talk about it, but
uh,
it's just there's a lot that isn't covered and like, it can't be
oh yeah.
covered in a 3 hour workshop,
Well,
you
even
know?
when I went, even at Texas State, the very last year I was there is when they started incorporating film classes
Yeah,
into the acting program.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and even then, I took business of film, but it
yeah,
was the business of film, like accounting and stuff like that. And it's like, what about actors who, like me, are like so green and so fresh, or at least I was then, and and I don't know what an agent's supposed to charge. I don't know, there's no
Mhm.
upfront cost. People always tell you don't pay them before
Yeah,
you get a
never.
job or whatever.
No,
And
they work for you.
oh yeah, modeling.
Yeah.
See, and then in college was when modeling kind of, I was like, well, I could do modeling because I'm near Austin, and I could
Yep.
do it. And I signed a contract by myself that I was just like, it looks okay. And
Mhm.
I signed it, and it turned out to be awful. They were like, "Oh, you owe us this." When I was trying to leave them, I ended up owing them like $400, and I was like, "For what? You never got me a job. Like, I never did
Mhm.
anything here."
Yeah. No,
So
it's
yeah.
crazy because it's also like if you say you get into a situation where you do sign with a manager, right?
Mhm.
But somewhere like off, like in the side deal, an agent says, "Hey, we're gonna freelance with you," and you might the agent might send you or submit you for something. You audition for it, you book it. Well, because you do have a manager, you owe them money too.
Yeah.
So if they're charging you 15% or 10%, let's just say 15. That's usually the standard for managers sometimes. It should be 10, but like 15 is common. Um, that's already 25% because agents will charge you 10.
Yep.
That's standard, 10% with agents. So it's 20%, 25% on top of taxes. And that's pre-tax. They'll get you.
Yeah. Yeah, those taxes.
They'll
Those
get you.
taxes,
So
those
so
taxes.
they'll calculate before taxes, take
Mhm.
their cut, and then send you yours. It's bonkers, and they don't teach you that stuff.
No, and I'm grateful to have that knowledge now,
Hmm.
and anybody who asks me about that side of it, 100%. I'm like, "This is what my team does. This is
Yeah,
what I recommend. Don't do this, don't do that." But, like, my management takes 10%, which I
yeah,
think is great.
yeah. Mine
My
does too. Yeah,
my old agent
yeah.
was taking 15%, and then how okay, wait, listen to this, though. You know how,
No,
jobs, commercial jobs, or even other jobs will give you they'll say your rate is $100
plus
and we're
10.
gonna give you plus 10%, so
Yeah,
that goes to your agency,
yeah,
and you get to keep your whole 100 minus
yes,
taxes.
yes,
And you say, "Okay, yeah." So my agent would not only take 15% out of my check,
yeah,
she would take the extra 10% that they were giving you
yeah,
also, and I was like, "Wait, but that 10% is yours, like, my
yeah,
check isn't," and she
yeah,
was like, "No, this is how it goes. I need to,
yeah.
like, cover my overheads," and I was like, "That's not my job." Like,
No, no, and that's a big. That was a big confusing thing for me as well, because it's not only just like what they charge you, because that plus 10% or that kind of verbiage in the agreement is very confusing, and I do think they
Mhm.
also need to go over in schools, especially performing arts schools, or something that's going to send you out into the professional acting world where they need to teach the jargon so you know what that plus 10 or you know what a hold is, the difference between being pinned and being on hold and
Yeah.
being, just like all these things. And they don't like I still don't understand like the residuals for commercials sometimes, I'm just like I just wait for a check
Yeah.
to come in. And luckily with the
Yeah.
electronic age, you can track what residuals are. But if there was no like tracking system, I wouldn't even know what I'm getting. I'm
Yeah.
just that dumb. And I just wonder, like, say pre-2000s, like before, like you
Oh,
could
I
really
can't
track
imagine.
it. I mean, how many people lost money? Or how many
Yeah.
checks got lost in the mail? Because I remember with taxes, 2 years ago, because I was still in New Jersey, and so New York, New Jersey, and I lost a couple W-2s because they're going to another address. Well, you would think that if their residuals coming from SAG, like you can track all your residuals through SAG. Well, there's EP, Electronic Partners, that's kind of clumps a lot of them together, which is good. But a lot of times
Mhm.
studios will send um the residual through their own studio. So for
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
with Going in Style was the one of the W-2s that was I don't know where it went. It went to an old apartment, wherever. It had an old address, and I had to call the studio and trying to find out where this
Well,
is.
I'm
And I
sure
had
that's
to,
a hassle in itself.
yeah. Well, I called SAG first, and SAG is just about as it's worthless. It's just like sometimes, I mean, I know a lot of people get excited when they become SAG members, but like,
Oh,
I
I
hate
was
to
always
break
told,
it to you.
"Don't join until you
Do
have to
not
join."
join until you have to join. You do not join just because it's a you're going to lose a lot of money because you have to pay dues all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Twice a year, you pay dues.
Especially if
Twice
you're
a
in a
year.
very non-union area, and in an area that non-union is like
Yeah.
most of what you're getting, like
Yeah.
Austin has a lot of non-union jobs, but
Yes.
those people are like, oh, I got my SAG card, and I'm like, cool, you just lost 50% of like your work.
All your work.
Yeah.
All your work. You can't do
Mm-hmm.
anything else. And that's just like one of the most ridiculous things that people do not understand. It's like, wait, you get your two waivers, your Taft Hartley waivers. And then if they tell you got to join, then you pay them. But that's $3,300
Yeah,
for
like
like
upfront.
up front. Yes. And you have to go into the office, the regional like office, and do
Mm-hmm.
the paperwork. You can't do it over the phone. And I remember I joined for Mr. Robot. It was July when I shot, and that was my must join. Got edited out of that, and I thought, okay, so we paid the 3,300, which was a lot of money, and I thought I was good for the rest of the year, until next time. And then November comes around, and they say, hey, you got to pay your dues. And I was like, what? And I called my manager, and they're like, yeah, like you got to pay, twice a year. And it's like not the 3,300, it's like a couple $100, but still it's a couple hundred
Yeah,
bucks. You
couple
just
hundred
think
bucks in New York. Yeah,
a couple $100 in New York, but think about this. What if Mr. Robot was the only job I had worked that year? And because that
yeah,
was my must join, I had to pay that. So that already put me in a hole. And then I didn't work the rest of the year and I have to owe this couple $100. You know what I
yeah.
mean? That's ridiculous. And I gotten off on a tangent just griping about SAG, but like during the pandemic, they sent out this nice email saying, you know what, for this year, we know nobody worked because of the industry shutdown. So what we're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do is we're just gonna, allow SAG members for your dues. You can postpone payment, but you still need to pay. Why don't you
Yeah,
just waive the payments? Waive the
no
dues
one's
this one
working.
time. Exactly. It's ridiculous. And it's just, it's a headache. Don't join unless you need to join. Trust me.
Yeah, seriously,
The only
serious.
like the only thing you get when you join is screeners. And guess what? You're not going to get many screeners this year because nothing was in the movies.
Because nothing came out.
It's
Yeah,
going to go straight to HBO Max. So borrow someone's password for that. I mean,
seriously.
sorry, I just went off. Like I get really heated about SAG. Like they're supposed to be. The only good thing is that they do make sure that you get paid
Yeah,
accordingly.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
only thing they're good for. Everything
Mhm.
else, worthless.
Yeah, a
Worthless.
lot of people always brag about like, once you get your SAG card, your career is just gonna skyrocket, and it's like that's not true.
Nope.
That's so many factors go into your career skyrocketing. And
No.
SAG is not one of them.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, it is true that work begets work, but no, a SAG card ain't gonna do much for
No,
you. There's a lot of people who've made
no.
careers without a SAG card, and they've had to get their SAG card because they've done something either on YouTube or they became TikTok
Mhm.
famous.
Uh,
You know what I
I
mean?
don't have a TikTok.
I have a TikTok and I'm addicted to it. You're not a
My
big
mom,
social media
my
person.
mom's addicted. No, no, I'm really not. I don't know. I've always just been kind of like, my life is my life, and I'll
Yeah.
share what I would
Yeah.
like
You're like an
to.
old soul.
Oh, I'm like 58, really. Like
Yeah.
this is a morph suit. Like I'm
Yeah.
58 years old. My back hurts every day when I get up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I realize you never use that. And do your reps ever tell you need to do the social media thing? I mean, mine don't. But
Mm,
you're in a different like the stuff you go in for, I feel tends to be social media heavy.
mhm.
And I think you've lost some roles to
There
TikTokers,
was,
or at least one. You did lose one,
yeah,
and I mean, it's just an unnamed. We're not gonna
yeah.
push anybody
But I
on
think
this,
that's just
but
like the day and age we're living in.
yeah,
You go out for roles, and they're like, well, the lead is already cast, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, who is it? And I look at
yeah,
somebody who, from my knowledge, because I don't have a ton of TikTok knowledge or whatever, but
mhm,
they haven't studied for years, or they
Mm-mm,
haven't,
mm-mm.
they literally picked up their phone and were like, and did a dance. And then everyone's like, oh my God, they're great.
Yeah,
Like, and you're not even a trained dancer. Like,
yeah.
where's the work, people? I
Well, that's
believe
the
in putting in
thing.
hard work.
I believe in hard work, and I also just don't see the correlation sometimes, like, because if you're going to be a true star, if you're going to be a true entity, right, in this industry,
Mm,
and they're going to base it solely on social media, I feel that you have to I mean, if they're going to sign someone with, like, say, like CAA, which is one of the big agencies,
yeah, yeah,
CAA, WME, UTA, one of those, if you're going to get signed, you better be a superstar on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, or
yeah.
YouTube, or all three. It has to be a trifecta, or else it's just, I don't get it. Like, if you're just a big person, if you're a big person, like, TikTok doesn't seem like it translates over to YouTube or Instagram. Like,
Mm-mm.
if you're big on TikTok, you're big. Like, so many people are huge on TikTok. There's so many, like, hundreds of thousands of followers.
Yeah,
But if you're not, what am I trying to say? Like, if you have a huge following on TikTok, and that following isn't also on YouTube or Instagram, then there isn't that kind of, like, stardom that they're gonna sign you
yeah,
with. I just don't
yeah,
see
yeah,
that, because I've seen people with like 100, 150, 200,000, 300,000 followers on TikTok, but they don't have that blue check or whatever that is on
the
TikTok,
verified
the
thing. Yeah,
verified on TikTok. And they have, like, if they have like 300,000 followers on TikTok, but they only have like 1,200 on Instagram, like, there's no correlation. So I can see that being a hindrance, like, not a hindrance, but like, to
yeah.
them getting seen.
I think there's a lot of
It's a science.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot of like, number one, there's a lot of energy that it takes to keep up with your social
Yes.
media. You know that now
Yeah.
from being on it so much. It's I don't
I
have I
hate
like
it. I don't have that. And
That's a
that's the
lot of energy.
and I'm not gonna knock on the TikTok people. I really and truly cannot
Oh, I
knock on
commend
them,
them.
because I've tried to do TikTok for like a week, and it's just the energy that goes into keeping up with a trend. You have to catch a trend as it's starting, and you got to
Mhm.
hit that trend on the upward wave.
Yeah,
And then also, while you're doing the trend, you have to simultaneously pop in and plug in original content to make it just just to stand out. So you're going
yeah,
to hook people with that trendy video, and then you're going to pop out some, like, interesting content, unique content, or you're just going to have unique content throughout, and
yeah,
only few people have that.
yeah. I
And I don't have that energy at all.
No, and I think that there's people are so creative in different ways,
Yeah.
but I just I'm not gonna sit down and take the time to like learn a dance that I
Mm-mm.
don't need to know, or like, you
Crazy
know,
editing.
yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. These people, I just their schedules must be wild, and their
Yeah.
commitment to their craft is
Yeah.
amazing, and I commend them. I'm
Yeah.
just not one of them.
And they're TikTok rich. They get like sponsorship deals.
Oh,
Like,
oh yeah, like the richest kid on YouTube
yeah,
who's like 7 and gets paid for reviewing toys, and he made
toys.
like
Yeah.
4 million last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Set
What?
set for life. And his life is just beginning, which is amazing. I don't
Seriously.
have that. And in a way, okay, so I would not throw you into that TikTok age range, but like, I would say 18 to 25 would be like that sort of, like, you know, demographic. And do you feel, because of what you go in for, is that if you had the choice, you had to do the TikTok stuff or just stay true to yourself and let your talent speak for itself? You'd rather let your talent speak for itself, correct?
100%. Because I'm not gonna be something that I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not gonna go in there and follow a trend, or I mean, I've never done that. I have the longest hair in the world. People think it's my religion. It's not. I just like having long
What's
hair.
that? Yeah, it's like
Like
Rapunzel.
everybody by now would have moved to LA 2 years ago like I did on February 1st,
Hmm.
and they would have cut their hair, and they would have dyed something and done this, and
Yeah.
I'm just not that person.
Yeah. And do you find it harder now because of social media? because I think social media is a very interesting. I have a love hate with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I find that I do get a little self-conscious every time I'm going in for, like, definitely, like, a much younger role
Yeah,
and seeing, like, okay, I already know that I'm not a huge name
yeah,
yet, and so I know that that kind of works against my favor, and so I always second guess myself of, like, "Man, if I did have 10,000 followers," which is
hmm,
not even a ton, I guess, on
yeah,
social media site, like, would I have gotten that part, or would I have been m more heavily considered than
yeah,
the person who got it, who I do check, and then I see that they have 21,000 followers.
yeah. You
Because
see,
people, especially right now, people are chasing the money. People are chasing
that's
the
what it
names with
is.
the money that's gonna bring in the fan base, that's gonna
Yeah,
make their movie that, you know,
yeah. No,
top
it's like
dog.
and I know what you mean with that. It's like for me, I am I always think about it. It's like, okay, once I start trying to do a YouTube video or like because I really I there's been several times where I've tried to do like a vlog or something crazy, and that does take a lot of time. I am a dad, and I watch on about when Rosa's working, and Rosa works the full-time job, and
Mhm.
I just feel like, okay, what am I trying to gain from this? And how is this helping my acting career? And the conflict is there. Like when I was trying to do TikToks, like what am I getting from this? Like I have this battle or this thing in my head. It's almost like the best example I could say is this. Like if you had the opportunity to win the lottery, and like you win the
Yeah.
lottery, does that mean in life, is that going to cancel out any chances you have to further yourself in this career of acting? You know
Mm.
what I mean? Does that like in that like that sort of like does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
if you
absolutely.
had like there's like this choice, there's the
Oh,
two
for sure.
roads and you can win the lottery or you can act. And if you play the lottery, like I do play the lottery when it's like 700 million, but then I think like, man, if I win, will that cancel out my chances? Like, will I stop getting auditions or like, is that kind of like
Yeah.
ruin that avenue? Do you ever think that? And that's how I feel about
Oh, well,
social media.
for a while there with YouTube, you saw all these YouTube stars
Hmm.
getting really big on YouTube, and they would always make, a vlog that would say like, "Well, I wanted to be an actor or a dancer or a this
Yeah.
or a that, but I became really big on YouTube." And then you look at somebody and you're like, "What are you known for?" "Oh, I know you from YouTube." Like
YouTube.
that's all you're known for. You're pigeonholed
Exactly.
into YouTube, and you're not
Yeah.
actually considered a real
Yeah.
actor or reality TV stars, you
That's
know?
that was like I think that would be the equivalent of
Yeah.
like social media today. It's like, the first part of the 2000s, 2000, 2010, like if you were say if you were already an actor, like let's just say that's
Mhm.
like you could be a reality star. But I remember if you were doing like those VH1 like, Rock of Loves or there was a show with all these older actors from like the 80s or whatever, like house. I can't remember. They're all in a house. And if you were on any of
Okay.
those as a reality show, your career was done. And basically,
Oh,
you're
for
just
sure.
if you do any kind of reality TV, and I feel like that's how, like TikTok or Instagram, like if you become just like one of those, the only one that I think gives you a chance is YouTube or Vimeo. Like
Yes.
if you could create interesting sketches or videos that are, you know, done well,
Mhm.
they're funny or they're dramatic or they just go viral for like content. Like there's just like
Yeah.
there's depth in that video. Then
Mhm.
yes, but if you are just doing something within a minute or 15 seconds, I feel like that's all you're gonna be is just like if you even get cast in a movie because they've seen you on TikTok is because they want you to do something stupid.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Personally, I mean that's
I
how I
I
see it now.
I think about I truly think about all these kids who, and I think Liza Koshy
Yeah.
is one that I've seen go from YouTube to actually, I think she's on a TV show and she's being taken more seriously as an actor. But then you look at people who,
Hmm.
I don't know, just it just seems like, what do you do? What do you
Yeah.
do if you decide one day, I don't wanna do YouTube anymore. I don't wanna
Yeah.
do TikTok anymore. What, you go get a job at a bank? Like
No.
like you're gonna bag
No.
groceries? What are you gonna do?
And it's
Like,
also if that's the shtick that you have, like it depends on what kind of shtick do you have on your social media or YouTube. Like if it's like the reason why I say YouTube is the one that you can get away with, like it still gives you that opportunity to be seen, is because the directors, like what's his name, Pony Smasher, the guy who did Shazam, um
Mhm.
I'm blanking out on his name, but he directed Lights Out, that short that was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube. And then Andy Muschietti, who directed it, he did
Yeah.
Mama, you know, and the right people saw these.
Mm.
Or you know, there's several different directors that you know can pop something out, and it's just so good. And it's usually horror or sketch comedy, and the sketch comedy is another tricky one because it has to be viral,
You
and
have to hit you
and it
have to hit it or else you're not.
and it has to be more than one viral video,
Mhm.
like maybe five. I don't hear. I don't know if I'll crying over there, but like it has to go viral, and it has to be
Yeah.
more than five, six. It has to be consistent,
Yeah, but
because
you think about hitting those few viral videos,
yeah,
and then I don't know about you, but I would start to put pressure on myself, like, "Okay,
yes,
is this a viral idea? Is it not?" You know, I would stay up and go crazy over that kind of stuff, and that's where I think about, like, the energy it takes to really do that
hmm,
is, like, insane.
yeah. And then if you think about like TikTok, like you're just chasing that viral
Mhm.
viral video
You wanna be the next viral thing, you wanna start
every
the
single video.
challenge, the trend, the this, the that.
Yeah, because I remember I was talking to people, and I was talking to a guy who had like a lot of Instagram followers, and the whole art behind the Instagram thing. It's like, you know, if I post up a picture and it doesn't get as many likes as the picture before, then I'm gonna have to delete that picture and come up with something better. And I got to make sure that all the hashtags are correct. And then I got to see how the likes are doing with those pictures. And I have to try to get either as many or more likes and try to outdo it. And it's just like people are constantly looking at the social media as a business, where, you know, if you are an actor, it's a good way. Like there's some people who can really like get stuff done with it. And I'm not
Mm,
saying it's impossible, because there's some very,
yeah.
very freaking talented people who can get things done. And like IGTV has kind of changed that, because
Yeah.
you can actually do more than a minute, or you could do
Mm,
5 minutes. You could put your sketches on there, or just dramatic videos. And there's some people who really capitalize on that, but it's very, very rare, because you know, I mean, just like think about this. Like I just started a podcast, right?
mhm.
In the midst of a pandemic.
Yeah.
You know how many other people got the same bright idea to do that because everything was shut down?
Oh, yeah,
Literally
everyone's starting a podcast, a
everybody,
YouTube channel, a this, a that, a cooking show, a this. Yeah, yeah.
everybody. And it's just one of those like things. It's like, okay, I have to be real with myself. I'm doing this for fun. I'm not chasing anything. Because the fact of the matter is, like, I don't know if I'll ever get this monetized, or I'll even get a sponsor, or whatever, because man, like I'm swimming in a huge pond, and I'm a minnow, you know, when it comes to
Mhm.
podcasting. And you
Mhm.
have a few whales in there like Joe Rogan and just
Yeah.
NPR and networks that have just control. Like there's people, I remember I had started my podcast, and I'm looking at the numbers, and
Mhm.
I'm seeing how many downloads I got, or even just reviews on iTunes. And if you're listening right now and you go to iTunes, go ahead and hit subscribe and leave a very, very nice review. I would love that. And
Yes.
that helps me bump up in the charts.
Like
But
and subscribe.
like and subscribe. It's like when you watch like a
Comment
YouTube
down
video,
below.
it's like, you know what? Like there's this guy I follow on YouTube, says Graham Stephan, and he starts his videos off. He's like, you know what? I'm going to tell you what real estate options are really good right now. But you know what is really awesome? If you just go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe button down below, and that'll really help the algorithm. But um, I was back to like the podcast thing, is like, if I had my podcast out and I had like 5 episodes, right?
Mhm.
And a new podcast comes out, but they're under like NPR, or you know, under a network of a
Yeah,
podcast, like
like a
one of the big
bigger
ones. Yeah,
balloon.
like Wandry, or NPR, or any of those, or Gimlet. They have one episode. Oh no, they don't even have the podcast. They just have like the trailer.
Followers.
It's like, you know, coming out, and it's like 5,000 reviews and all
Yeah.
5 stars. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to compete with that. And like,
Yeah.
And like if you do that with social media, think about that. It's even worse because everyone like thinks it's like easy money because you see like the Logan Pauls and the Jake Pauls and the
Sure.
Summer Rays and was that the one girl from TikTok the D'Amelio sisters?
Charlie
Charlie
D'Amelio.
D'Amelio? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just man, like they see that and they see how much money they're making. It's crazy.
It does, yeah, but it's definitely not as easy as those people make it look. 100%,
They hit the
they
jackpot.
do. Yeah,
And they
one
do
in
a
a million,
thing.
man.
No, it's 1 in a million, but they also like they run in that circle of other successful
Yeah,
TikTokers or
they hang out with
YouTubers.
their, yeah,
That blows my mind. And that's just like I really like that. Who would have thought that that's where the entertainment industry would be? And
yeah.
my age demographic, like me, the old guys, luckily, I'm not really competing with that. You know what I mean?
You're
It's
very lucky because
I'm
I am.
very lucky. I know, but I respect that you're not wanting to cave into that because it's not as I mean, like I said, I can't knock people because it is still like a full-time job to do
Hey,
that.
that's a career.
That's
That's
a
a
career and and
path.
and I do have to respect it, but I also feel it's a little bit more superficial. I mean,
Yeah,
deep
yeah.
down what we do to get work can be superficial. I mean, it's always like,
Mhm.
I want to see what I can do, see myself on TV, but
Yeah.
it's also telling stories, good stories,
That's
and and,
that's
and
where I
and
that's
changing
where I
culture.
find that's where I find my heart in acting is
Yeah.
like I'm not here to be a one-hit wonder. I'm not here to, you know, do great on social media and then not really translate anything to my acting. I study, I work very hard, I go to classes, I've put in the hard work and I want to stay very true and grounded to that because I know that
Yeah.
I pray in my career there's going to be a point where I am very high up and very far away from anything that I know.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to be like, no, I'm still me. My feet are still on the
Yeah.
ground. I'm still good. I haven't caved into the pressures of my generation, which are, you know, do anything for the money or,
Yeah.
put myself, be something I'm not going to be.
And that's
I just don't
terrific.
want that.
And thinking about that, because I mean, you've had you haven't gotten the roles that you've wanted, but you've
No.
gone in and
So
you've
close.
had some like when I say if you're listening or watching, like when I say she's gotten so close, like she's legit gotten so close.
Like
And
final two tested for a show.
yeah, like you're on the verge.
Yeah.
I think within the next 2 years, you're gonna hit something big.
Thank you.
And of the no, but I say that not because like you're like an old family friend and I've known you since you're a baby, but I've seen you, I've helped you tape, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I've seen the work and the fact that you also have you've been up for roles in front of networks and you've had these opportunities. You've been seen. You're on the radar. One of the things I do have to say is that the stuff you've gone in for and the stuff that you've been looked at for is really cool stuff, and which is very fortunate for you. It's not like
Mhm.
it's not they haven't been projects that you'd be ashamed of, or like
Oh no.
these are definitely going to be paycheck shows. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
because that does happen, and
Mhm.
I'm really happy that you haven't really had a lot of those paycheck auditions. You know what I mean?
I haven't, and I feel like I'm really diligent about my agents and
Yeah,
my managers are both very good about like, "Hey, read this before you commit
yeah,
and before you confirm for your audition,
yeah,
and if you don't like it, don't be afraid to tell me you don't like it, it's
yeah.
not for
No,
you."
absolutely, and that's good. And
Mhm.
they're pretty good about that.
Yeah,
That's really
got
cool.
it. I've got
Yeah,
a great team.
I I would have to say you do. You have a really great team. I have a great team. I mean, I just had a moment
No, yeah,
this week
you've got a
personally.
great team.
I got a great team where, there was I had an offer, the first offer I've ever had in 2 years, right?
Yes.
But because I have to say I have a great team, is that they look for best interests and health and everything in mind.
Mhm.
And it just, we were all on the same page. And like, yes, I was bummed that I couldn't do it because I had to turn it down due to COVID protocols and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But later on in the day, I sat back and I was like, yes, this is the team I want behind me. They're really looking after me
Absolutely.
and not getting money. And that's one of the things that I'm glad for you. They actually like worked out a really good, you know,
Hmm.
quote for you. And that's just like,
Yeah.
man, like you know, always keep that in mind. And that's one of the things that people don't talk about as well when we're talking about the business of acting is like
Hmm.
when it took me forever to understand, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but like when
Hmm.
they say, like, if you're ever going to meet with an agent or a manager, you got to make sure you're compatible and that they have your best interest in mind.
Hmm.
And for me, being a dumb football player who probably has CTE or you know, brain injuries, I was just like, I just want reps so I can audition. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fortunately for me, my first manager, the guy was a bulldog, Eric Faber. He passed away 2 years
Hmm.
ago, and he definitely had my best interests in mind. And
Yeah.
you know, you seem to have that same sort of like relationship
When I
with your
yeah,
reps.
when I signed with I was with that agency in Texas, and I got discovered by the management company out in LA.
Hmm.
The one thing that my management company made very clear to me is that, and it was in the first meeting over Skype. My niece had just been born
Yeah.
3 days prior, and I was like, "Oh, she's my good luck charm." I got this management company who found me and wanted to talk to me, and I was like, "Okay." Um, and they said, even if you decide we're not the team for you,
Hmm.
make sure that you get somebody who is gonna work for you and is not gonna make you feel like you're working for them.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that is probably the best
Yeah.
advice anybody's given me in this industry.
Yeah. And do you sometimes like when they say that when they're working for you as a newbie, I mean, a semi newbie,
Yeah.
do you feel like sometimes like you don't want to say things because you think you're going to get dropped, or do
Oh,
you
for sure.
because I feel that still I've been doing this for 6 years, and sometimes I'm like, I mean, I mean, this just sounds really stupid, but like I've talked to a lot of veteran actors who say like don't think like that, they need to work for you, and don't be afraid to, like, if you have a concern, tell your agents or whatever. But I also still feel, and I don't know if you feel this way too, it's like if you say something, you're going to be that trouble client that's going to be a
Yeah.
pain in the ass, and then they're going to push you to the bottom of the list and you're never going to get any auditions.
Yeah.
Like, do you ever
You
feel
get
that?
blacklisted and stuff like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm always super, I always like think things through like at least 4 times and like run it by other people. Like, do you think it's okay to say this?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, of course it's okay to say this. Like,
Yeah.
we're a team. I'm not their boss. They're not my boss.
Yeah.
Like, we're on a team.
Yeah. It's a team.
We're all trying to benefit here. We're all trying to do well here.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I have really great people both in New York and LA with Paradigm, and then
Yeah.
Artists First on in LA. I've
Yeah.
got great people in my corner, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy.
Yeah. Paradigm. I
I'm
love
very,
Paradigm.
very fortunate. That's why when at the beginning of this, when we were talking about how people always ask, like, how do I get an agent? How do I get a manager? Tell me how you did it. And I'm like, the agent was a freak accident, and the manager was even more of a freak accident.
Yeah.
So I have no clue how to help you.
Well, it's like we had the opposite with Paradigm, because I was with commercial
Mhm.
voiceover and you're with legit, but we couldn't
Mm.
cross over. I couldn't get legit with Paradigm, and you can't get commercial with them. It's so weird. I don't
Yeah.
understand that, but overall, I love that company. Like, they're
Yeah. No,
so good.
they're great. The reps I have are great, and they always make me feel like they're always straight shooters. That's what I like. I don't like people who are
Yeah,
going to be around the bush. We're going to be like, well, this and that. Like, no, no, no. Just tell me how it is because it's what
yeah,
I'm here for. You know.
yeah.
So
Have you ever been to
I'm
The
just praying
Office?
I get a shampoo commercial soon.
You will. You will. You and Troy Polamalu and Patrick
Oh
Mahomes,
my god, that would be great because I'm a
Head
Steelers
and
fan.
Shoulders commercial.
Yes,
Have
yes,
you
yeah.
been into the Paradigm office in New York?
No, I was okay. So I was meant to go. I
Gorgeous.
signed with them in February,
Yeah,
and they were going to come out in March to LA, and
yeah,
then I was going to head over there a month later to go,
yeah,
visit over there. They were going to come out and introduce me to people in LA in case I needed to go into that office,
yeah,
and then I was going to head over there, and COVID.
yeah. No, that I signed with them when they were on like not Madison. There's just like 60 Madison is where the commercial agency. So it's the next street over. So basically on the east side, like
Mm.
by Murray Hill. And then they moved to Financial District, and that like now that's where their office was now. Oh my god. It's just like on the 26th floor, and there's like this like
Wow.
the top of a church outside the window by the receptionist. That's just
That's
gorgeous, gorgeous. And
beautiful.
it's like wrapped around the whole floor, and it's just
Mm.
gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous office. So if you need to head over there. It's really cool. It's like,
I
and
mean,
it's right by the World Trade
every
Center.
job I'm like praying, just send me back to New York just for a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. No, like I
Yeah.
mean, I think about that too. Um, why LA and not New York?
It
Like,
just
how did
felt
you get drawn to LA again? I'm trying to remember because
my
your
managers were in
managers.
LA.
Okay,
They I auditioned for something.
because you were in Austin for a little bit, right?
Yeah, I was in San Antonio
San
driving to
Antonio.
Austin back and forth, back and
Yeah,
forth, back and forth, which was crazy miles on the car.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I auditioned for something, didn't hear back, but they said I did great, but they're going in a different direction. Classic, whatever, okay.
hmm
Um, and then my niece was being born, and I got a phone call. And the day after she was born, I got a phone call saying, "Hey," from my agent, "Hey, these managers from LA, they want to have a meeting with you." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, managers." And I was like, "That's a good thing, I'm pretty sure." So
yeah,
okay. And so I sat down, had a Skype meeting with them, and they were out of LA. They said that a casting director had seen my tape,
yeah,
and she sent it to them and said like, "Hey, I'm not supposed to send you this, but like," or I don't even know if she sent it to them. I think maybe she wanted to send it, but she couldn't. So then I ended up sending it or something like that.
yeah.
But they were like, "Yeah, she said that if we didn't know you, we needed to know you." And I was like, "Are you sure? Like, are you sure?" And they were like, "Absolutely." And they're in LA, and I just thought, okay, this my next step is go out there because they have great connections out there, and I have nothing on the East Coast. As much as I love the East Coast,
Yeah,
I don't have anything over there.
yeah. Wow. So that's how you
Mhm.
got your reps out there.
Oh, such a free, yeah, it was bizarre, and I was like, "Are you sure?" And
Yeah,
in the meeting, they were like, "Absolutely. We're Team Danny if you're here." And at the time, they were
that's
Principado
amazing.
Young, and now they're Artists First.
Yeah, yeah. And it's
Mhm.
a big management group, and
People are so lucky you have it. Like you're so lucky. You don't know how lucky you are. And I'm
how do
like,
I do it? It was like I wish I knew. Like I
like,
don't
do
know. It
it.
just happened. Like
Send a tape to this casting director.
yeah, and don't suck. It's just like one of those things. But it's even then. It's like like I was in my acting class last night, and we were talking about it. And yeah, I don't know what he was. There's if I can remember it correctly, they said that this person like there's a group of people that he had coached or maybe they just wasn't the best performances, but
Hmm.
it was the most natural. It was them, and it might not even have been like people he had coached. It might have just been people he'd known, or no, a casting director might have told him. And they said that those people might not have been word perfect. They might have had just bad auditions, but casting
Mm,
wanted them because they were the most natural, and they saw that personality creeping from the tapes.
yeah.
And it's not all the time being word perfect. It's just being that person
No,
that
it's
people are going to
inauthentic.
see. They're going to see something that you probably might not. And that's what I've told you this a million times. I
Mhm.
was like, if you're going to audition, just be yourself and have fun with it. And just think about this: you probably won't book this job, but that does not mean that you're not going to book anything ever with this casting right there. And if you don't book this job, don't take it as a loss,
Mm,
because you will get called back, because they will remember you, and you've had those close calls. And I
yeah.
tell people this, not just you, I tell everybody. I was like, when you go in there, just be yourself and have fun. You want to leave. I mean, yeah, of course you want to book it. I mean, everybody wants to get that job.
Of
Everybody wants to
course,
work.
it's
I
your
mean,
job.
and
Yeah.
it's just like, and it's sometimes they're really cool jobs, but you got to remember, like sometimes might not be for you. And
No.
and then
And
there
there's so
is
many
some,
factors that go into it.
yeah,
It's not just you. It's like how you look with the other people,
yeah,
how you work with the other people.
yeah,
And I it's funny because I went into the room when we were still auditioning in rooms,
yeah.
um,
I miss
for
that.
this casting director, and I had never been in this room.
Mm-hmm.
Never been with this casting director ever. Like, I'd never been there in person,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't remember her being an online thing either. And so I was like, she goes, I did my scene. She goes, this is why I always bring you in.
Yeah.
This is why. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying this to be conceited, but like she's saying, this is why
No,
I
I
always bring you in
believe
because
it.
you're authentic and you're just real and you just give us you every single time.
Yes.
And I'm like, thank you so much. Like, wow, thank you. And I left and I go,
Yes.
that's why you always bring me in. I've never been here.
Yeah.
Like, she must be thinking of somebody else.
Yeah.
This woman me, remembered me from my tape a year and a half prior to this audition.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she acted like she had talked to me every single day of my life. But a year and a half before then
Yeah.
was when she had seen my audition tape.
Yeah. And that's the thing you got to remember. And you're not bragging on that. That's just the fact of the matter. It's like in this industry, like a lot of people think that you got to go in there and you got to give an Academy Award winning performance in this like minute and a half. 90 seconds is the usual
Yeah.
audition time. Sometimes it's longer if it's just like a series reg or they're going to give you some directions, but it's 90 seconds usually. And you go in there and just be yourself. Like Bryan Cranston says, your job is just to act and then forget about it.
Mhm.
But if you leave yourself and you leave a presence in that room, something for the casting directors to remember you by, man, you might not book it. Like more than likely, it's just a percentage. Like it's just out of your hands. It's out of casting. There's and it's just a lot of times when they're developing a show, they don't know what they want. You know what I mean? Like they could
Mm.
put in
Yeah.
a breakdown for a 26-year-old young Latina girl with a Caucasian last name and long black hair, and then they end up casting a heavyset Latino man that's 38 years old and balding with a beard. They never know what they want. It
Yeah.
just depends. Like I've lost out to females, I've lost out to different ethnicities, and I've lost out. Like it just you never know. But as long as you go in there and you're yourself, I think that's the biggest secret. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not even a secret. It's like, and I mean, if you want to have any kind of advice, like to get seen or noticed, just be yourself.
Absolutely.
Be as natural as possible. Don't put on a
They know
fake
when you're
accent.
pushing it. They
Yeah.
know when you're pushing it. They know when you're faking it.
Hmm.
They'll call you out most of the times.
Yeah.
People will be like, you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Did
And
you
it's like,
ever?
oh, okay.
Did you? No, it's true. Did you ever watch that documentary? It's called Andy and Jim with Jim
Mm-mm.
Carrey, and he was Andy Kaufman from when he was doing Man on the Moon.
No, I never watched it.
So I found that documentary very fascinating as an actor, but then I also found it troubling as a person who's in the industry and knows that a lot of young people, particularly young men, will see this. Like I'm talking about 20-year-olds,
Mhm.
22, 23, and they'll see this and think this is what they have to do, to be a star. Because you hear these stories all the time about like Daniel Day Lewis never breaking character, or like certain actors that will never break
Yeah.
character, and that was the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I find that kind of stuff like, it's like you said, like they will see through that bullshit. Like they
Yeah.
will see that. Like Jim Carrey got to be able to do that because Jim Carrey was already Jim freaking Carrey, and he was able to
Yeah.
play around and do that. And at that point in his career,
Mhm.
before he was doing in living color and he was doing comedy, and then Ace Ventura, like it wasn't until then I was like, what, 99, 2000 when he was able to do that. So
Yeah.
he had all those years leading up to that. And but he was himself. Like Jim Carrey was
Mhm.
always crazy. That was him. That's him all the time.
Yeah.
So you're right. With that being said, like you've gone in for some things and you've gotten really close, but like if you what are your goals for the next, I don't know, year? I know everyone wants to have that series reg or movies, but is there like a particular
Yeah.
project? I mean, let's narrow it down. Like, is there a particular type of genre, character, and medium that you really have your heart set on? Like, if this is the one and only thing that I do in my career, you will be happy.
Hmm. I always tend to lead more towards something that's gonna pull at your heart, but not in like the rom-com way, no
Yeah.
offense,
Yeah.
but the the dramatic, the person who's going through something, gone through something, getting over something or whatever. Um, I think it would be really, really cool to play like a this is so weird, like an addict or something along those lines. Maybe that would get me for a while I was very like, "You're the girl next door, the pretty tall model girl." Like, that's what I was
Yeah.
when I first started, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's all I would get called for.
Same.
And now I'm getting into the people are taking me serious.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are taking me seriously and seeing my talent and okay, and I just wanna get deeper into that, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
ever wanna just be like the, "Stand here, you're a living piece of furniture."
Yeah, no,
Look
I get
pretty,
that all the
girl.
time. I'm a bigger piece of furniture, and the stuff that I do. That's
I'm a
okay.
lamp.
Yeah, I'm a couch. That's all I. um, so okay, so you want to do something what like what was that? Requiem for a Dream sort of
Mhm.
movie,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Walk to Remember, kind of like
No, not Walk
no.
to I see, not Walk to Remember, 'cause I don't like I'm not like I don't like chick flicks.
Okay,
Like, people
okay,
love The Notebook.
yeah,
That's not me.
no. So
Not
what do you
no.
like? Just like gritty stuff, or
Um, yeah. Yeah, super, like, prisoners. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
okay. Yeah,
Wolverine, what's his name?
Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah,
He directed that and Blade Runner 2049 and Dune, and so
Dune,
he's
which I was
yeah.
up for.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, you know, I feel bad because that was supposed to be the big that he said that that
that
was
got
the best movie
pushed.
he's ever made, and now it got pushed. Not only pushed, but it's also going to go to HBO Max same day as theater.
Mhm.
He's pissed about it, and I get it. Um, but yeah, so okay, I have not seen Prisoners. I've heard a lot about it, and I need to watch it. I
Oh,
need to watch it. I really, I've heard a lot about it. I,
ah,
I
so
know.
good.
I just had one of those movies. I just got movie shamed. I
And
haven't
Jake
seen it.
Gyllenhaal's in it.
Jake Gyllenhaal's the man.
Well,
Love Jake.
it's not something that like, "Oh my god, you need to see it." But
No,
it's something that I think is gritty and it's got that yeah, it's got that, like those, like that texture to the words even
yeah.
that
Well,
I
you're
like
like the
that.
fourth person that's told me I need to watch it, though.
Oh, really?
So
Okay,
yes,
then you need to
I
watch
need
it.
to watch it. Yeah. No, I love Hugh Jackman and I love Jake Gyllenhaal.
Mhm.
Together they're really great. You know.
It's it's intense, but I like that kind of intense, The Gift, you seen that with, oh my god,
Yes, with Edgerton and what's his name?
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman, yeah, and was it
That
Joel
kind of movie
Edgerton directed it?
yeah, that's gonna
Yeah,
push you to your edge of your seat, make it kind
yeah.
of uncomfortable to where you're like, "Oh,
'Cause he got
oh,
bullied in
no."
high school.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a great it's just that it makes you
yeah,
think, it pushes you to where you're like, "I don't know if I wanna watch this anymore," but, like, I totally do because I have to figure out what happens. I love
yeah,
that kinda stuff.
yeah. No, me too. Like a good psychological thriller.
Mhm,
Yeah, me too. Me too. I love those. That's why I like Fincher's movies a lot.
mhm.
I
Yeah,
love it was also beautifully done. The
yeah,
aesthetic's
it
always there.
yeah.
There's attention to detail. Okay. And what are guilty pleasures?
Um, Guilty pleasure okay, really, really?
Yeah. No one's
So,
judging you except the 38 people that listen every week.
Forged in Fire?
Okay. It's I see it on Hulu. I've never seen it, but it looks interesting.
It's about making, like, like,
Weapons.
knives
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things
Like a
blacksmithing?
blacksmith. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or, Blown Away, which is a glass blowing show on Netflix right now.
Okay.
I love all those, like, restoration things.
Okay.
That's yeah, yeah.
During this pandemic, I was on a survivalist kick. So I was watching Alone. You know, have you ever seen that? So Alone is a
Oh, I
survival
haven't seen it yet,
show.
it's on my list.
Watch Alone. There's several seasons. I think most of them are on Hulu, and they're 10 people are
Mm,
tossed into the wilderness. They are given camera equipment, and they do get like checkups, but that's it. No one interferes with their lives. They have to record all every day,
Mm,
and they're allowed only 10 survival items from a list, a pre-approved
mm.
list, and they have to survive. And this show had me captivated during
Really?
the summer for yes, because it made me realize how worthless I am in a survival situation. Like, like just surviving, checking to see if water is like drinkable,
Clean?
and
Yeah.
yeah, and trapping food, and getting food, and all
Mm-hmm.
this, because these people are survivalists and this is what they do. They've done it a lot longer than I have. If
Mm.
they were having trouble finding food, I'd be dead. I'd be
Yeah.
dead. And so it's interesting, but then I also think that maybe it depends. If I knew how to build a fort, or like a good shelter.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna feed you, George.
No, 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 no. But here's the thing that I learned is that if I could build a good shelter and have fire and find some kind of food, I could survive longer than most, because what I did find, and Jordan Jonas, who won the season 6 season. Oh, I
Mm.
just ruined it for everybody.
Oh no. Oh, that's
Uh,
okay. I
but
won't remember. I
but
won't
they,
remember.
they said, like, what he did to prepare was he tried to put on as much weight as possible beforehand,
Oh
because
yeah.
when your body is starving, it goes into ketosis. And what is ketosis? It runs off your body fat. Well, I
Hmm.
tend to have a lot of that. And
I would
so
die.
a lot of people, well, you would have to try to put on as much body fat as possible, um to prepare for that, because a lot of the, like, even like the bigger guys, usually a bigger person wins, but by the
Mm.
end they're just like so lean, because I mean they're malnourished, and they haven't
Yeah. Yeah.
eaten, and
Yeah.
your body can survive just on body fat, but like, you can still get protein and stuff. And that's also the thing, is that it proved that we do need fat to survive, like animal. Like, it made me think, like, vegans, you might be wrong.
I
Like,
wouldn't.
it
I'm
might
not
be
a
more.
vegan, but I wouldn't do well.
Yeah, like I just realized, like, in these survival situations, that the vegans in the group never survived well,
Mm.
because they ended up having, I remember, like, one was a vegetarian, and she had to break that because she just didn't
Mm.
have the fat stores, and she needed to eat the animal fat, like from a fish, to survive. And
Mm.
it just makes me, it just answers a lot of questions if you have about, like, and like veganism, like, it really
Yeah.
being plant-based and all that is really, like, in this modern world where you have everything provided to you, that you could eat plants, you can pick and choose
Yeah.
these certain plants. And but if you go down to, like, historically and, like, survival
Not
wise,
gonna work.
no. And it just makes me, like, it
Being vegan
answers.
is a luxury.
It is a luxury. It truly is a luxury, and
Hmm.
it's more of an ethical choice if you're, like, thinking
Oh,
about
absolutely.
earth and, like, animal cruelty. But when it comes down to our biological needs and, like, survival, like, you're gonna survive longer if you eat
Hmm.
meat. So that's
Yeah.
what, and
Well.
I was hooked on those shows. And then
Hmm.
also, like, I don't know what plants are poisonous or not poisonous too, because sometimes
Yeah.
you do need a little fiber in there every now and then. And then I'm really hooked
I
on
would
those
probably pick
survival
up a
shows.
poison ivy.
Oh yeah, no, I would have been a goner. Plus, I have allergies like crazy. I'm just like a big
Oh, I
pansy.
know.
I don't know how I'd survive, and I
I
just
was blessed.
but
Thank God. Because
and
I
it's
see people with allergies, and it's like, how do you live?
like, my
How do
nose is
you
stuffed right
live?
now from allergies, and I'm
Yeah. See, I
like
don't know.
living in a clean house with, like, Zyrtec, and I was like, I don't even have my medicine, and I have
Oh
heartburn,
no.
and me. I'm just a big
Yeah,
weakling.
you wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't. I would like to, though. I think, like, a midlife crisis
Oh my,
idea that
buy a
I
car.
have. I would love to,
Buy
like,
a car.
just do a survival sort of excursion.
Oh
Like, have you
gosh.
seen? I also, from Alone, though, I went to Naked and
Hmm?
Afraid because I never knew what that was.
Nah,
Oh my god! Like, there's some
it's
episodes,
too.
they're butt naked, first of all, and they have, like, a little
Yes.
satchel for their, like, microphone, and, like, one survival
Hmm.
tool. But, like, I've seen them get destroyed by insects.
Oh, by ants or sunburn, and
Just
then they'll go into the ocean, the salty water,
yes.
and I'm like, "You're not helping yourself. Get out."
Yeah, yeah. And I just could never ever do that. So I'm so
Mhm.
glad. You know, when people complain about how hard life is now, I think about it. It's like it's not that bad.
No,
It's truly,
we're in such a lucky, like,
yeah,
generation, age, era, whatever you wanna call it, to be born in.
yes.
It's when people complain, I'm like, "That's a first world problem.
It
That's
totally,
that's
totally.
a first world problem."
Imagine this. Imagine if the pandemic had hit and we had all these lockdowns during the 90s. There's no internet. There's no streaming
No.
services. All
Was
you
there even
had was
Snake on the Nokia phone yet? Like,
I'm talking about the 90s. So not everyone had phones. So you have to have a lot of money if you had phones.
mm,
Like the early, let's just say 92, 1992, 90.
wasn't born yet.
When were you born?
94?
94.
The end of it.
Man,
Yeah.
I
So you definitely
see.
didn't have Snake on a Nokia phone because I know that my mom had that when I was like 9,
Yeah.
7 or 9 or something. That's our age
Yeah.
phone.
I was out of high school when I got that phone.
Dang.
Oh, yeah.
I was in 7th grade when I got my first phone.
Well, shoot.
It was only for phone calls, no
I feel
text.
old. I feel really old.
You
I feel
also I also look like I'm 12. People think I'm like 14.
yeah. Well, you go in for those roles sometimes. So that's
Yes,
kind of
I
cool. But that's
oh,
good
for sure.
though.
The younger
I
can
feel like
stay for
there's
the
a lot more.
longer,
Yeah.
absolutely, because I think
Because you're gonna hit like a slump. Like, well, no, maybe not you. But for me, I'm in a weird spot in my acting career where I'm just not old enough yet to
mhm, but
be
you're
where,
not young enough.
but I'm not young enough. And I feel that in the next 5 years, that's when
Yeah,
that's when everything will
yeah.
happen.
You'll hit that, like,
Yeah,
"Okay, this is the Android we're looking for."
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I'm
yeah,
lucky enough to be 26, but look
yeah,
16, 17, 18, 19.
yeah,
You take the makeup off or whatever, you know,
yeah.
and I look put my hair up and I look like a kid.
That's
And it works for
amazing.
modeling and acting.
Yeah, no, that's terrific. Milk it all you can. Tell me,
I'm trying.
I'm telling you, like you got to do it because I stopped looking like a teenager when I was 12. So I had a
Dang.
mustache in middle school.
I had friends who were like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had
I
a
was still wearing
mustache.
pigtails
That's
in
amazing.
middle school, so
I don't have hair. I can't do that. But anyway, this has been an amazing conversation. This has been great. I'm so glad
yeah.
we get to catch up. And you know, this year has been a difficult year.
Mhm.
And I know you've had some close calls and you've had some, you know, there's some tragedy and you know
Yeah.
also the pandemic and you're here in South Texas actually like you know, I'm
Mhm.
keeping true to the isolation podcast like you're at your house I'm here at mine
Yep.
and you're probably
7
like
minutes down the
10
road.
minutes away you're 10 minutes
7
away.
minutes.
Yeah,
7.
7 minutes away and you know it's been such a crazy uncertain year and you know I think you just got to keep your head up. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, everybody like think about it like it's new year. And I know it's not going to magically change, like just because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, new year, new me.
New
But
Year's Day, it's all gone.
yeah, it's all gone. New Year's Day, a new president. All of our problems
New
disappear.
year,
It,
new me, new present,
yeah,
new everything.
it's not going to happen that way. But as long
No.
as you continue doing the work that you're doing, you know, things are going to start opening up. We've gone throughout history. We've had pandemics before. We've
Yeah.
survived. We have better science now, and you know, better precautions. And we have the internet, and you're able to self tape, which is
Entertainment, yeah.
entertainment. It's just a great thing. But I really do thank you for joining me. I know that in the next year, 2 years, you're probably gonna hit something big, and you're probably never gonna have time to do little podcasts like this because your publicists
No.
are gonna say, absolutely not. That's a career killer.
I can
That is
only
a
imagine
career
my
killer.
managers right now. I'm gonna send this to them and they're gonna be like, "Well, you did good
You did good, but that
without like
guy,
training."
yeah, yeah, they're gonna tell you it's like, yeah, but never do that again. That podcast is
No,
trash.
no. I told you as soon as I'm up, you're up with me, man. Like
Well, from your lips to God's ears, you know,
for sure.
I really do hope for big things this year. And it's just, you never know, like something could be brewing right now. We just don't know. And that's the beauty
Oh
of
yeah.
this industry. So, can we find you on social media, even though you're not active on social media?
I have a Facebook page. I don't even have a page. It's just like I have a Facebook and I have an Instagram. My
What's your
name just
Instagram?
Danny McCallum. It's all
McCallum.
the same thing.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
That's
And,
it.
you
Thank you for
know,
having me.
no, absolutely. And everybody listening out there, please go ahead and give her a follow on Instagram. Get her Insta famous so she can compete with the D'Amelio sisters
With the
and
TikToker.
the TikTokers and the Instagrammers. And you can always follow the podcast on Instagram at Jorge's Isolation Podcast. On YouTube under the channel Jorge Chapa. If you just like look under YouTube under Jorge's Isolation Podcast, you'll see my beautiful face. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. Um, it'll help the algorithm, and it'll make me very happy. It'll truly make me happy. So you can find Jorge's Isolation Podcast on iTunes and Spotify. And if you don't want to download or subscribe it, you know what? I'm not gonna hate you for that. It's your world. But if you do, that'd be a lot cooler. And if you leave a nice little
Comment down
view
below.
comment, yeah, comment down below, YouTube, Instagram. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. Everybody stay safe and be kind to one another. Have a good one.